Hello, everyone. I'm Gus. I'm here from the Google AI DevRel team. Usually, I talk in social media about machine learning, TensorFlow, and related stuff. You can find me on Twitter at Gustema. That's what I talk about every day, all the time, because it's something I really, really like. Machine learning is a hot topic. Everyone's talking about it, but what is it really? What does it mean to use machine learning? What are the impacts on our society? What's easy? What's not? How can I use? All these kind of questions are very common. I hope that today with this talk, I can enlighten you a little bit, give you some background on how things work. I'm not going to go into details how to build a model right now. That would be, I would need another hour to explain all the details. But let's try to understand what's ML and why it's important and who is using, how they're using, give you some insights, and then you can maybe go from there, right? Let's start off. Sorry for the wrong translation. My slide is using a wrong translation there. So what's the first thing we should know is what's AI, ML, and DL. So these three acronyms are used like freely to define the same thing, but they are not the same thing, right? Let me try to give you a brief overview. So first of all, we have artificial intelligence. It's something that starts in the 50s, right? So it's very, very old. And it's the idea of making a machine, a computer, look like it's thinking, look like it understands things, look like there's a intelligence there, right? At some point, we did that with a lot of rules. We have some heuristics, we have some strategies, but of course that's kind of, it didn't doesn't work for many cases because it's hard to code everything. So but in the past, for example, when you played, I don't know, chess I don't know if you played those chess games in the 80s, 90s, where there would be an animation, it was super cool. So that was some kind of artificial intelligence, or basically every game you played had some kind of artificial intelligence that was hard coded in the game, right? So that's how it worked in the past. Evolving to the 80s, the concept of machine learning showed up. And the idea of machine learning is uh, you leave your computer, you give your computer a lot of data and it will learn something from it. And this process of learning, we'll go into more details in a little bit, that makes your machines look like they're learning like a small kid, right? It learns from the data. And this is something that became absurdly popular because with the internet, the amount of data that's created is huge on a daily basis. So there's a lot of data to analyze and learn from it. The next step that comes after, that comes in the 2010s and forward, is the concept of deep learning. So deep learning is a subfield inside machine learning where you have very big neural networks that will also use data to learn, but they will the way of the learning is more complex, and they are not all deep learning, not all machine learning models are also deep learning. So if you can see the image there are subfields of it. And the thing is, we all use artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning as the same thing, but they are not the same thing. Of course, it's good to give this definition, so whenever you listen to them, you can try to understand. Today, I'm going to explain a little bit more about machine learning, more specifically, deep learning, which is when you need to do more complex things, like, for example, image recognition, audio recognition, text. This requires more than just the capabilities of regular machine learning, right? So let's take a look into how the concepts work. First of all, if you're a developer, you've kind of seen all these terms around, right? You know what's data. You know data is what you put in a database, for example, or like some information is data. You know what are rules. Rules are probably what you code on your preferred language. You create a function, a procedure, a class, all these kind of things. Those are rules that you code yourself. And we have the answers, and the answers from our code is you have a function that will receive some data. This data will produce answers, right? So these are all code you've wrote your life for a problem like this, right? You put some if there, whiles, fors, and then you have these rules. So for example, if you have like a game, like this game here, you have a rule that if ball collide on a brick, you remove the brick and then you make some changes to the direction of the ball. This is a very usual code that you see on this game. So these kind of things are what we call classic programming. You have the rules that you write, right? You code in your preferred language. You have the data that you will receive, and then your traditional programming will work. Will have both. Will work on the rules. Will work on the data, and will produce answers to you. When we start to talk about machine learning, we change how things work, right? Because we are trying to teach the machine something. So what we have when we do machine learning is, instead of following rules, data, get answers, we start from answers and data, and we tell the machine, look, I have all this data, and from this data, you can infer all these answers. Can you work it out on this information and define rules that whenever I give you new data, you would give the same answer that I would, right? So you're changing how things work. Let's see it in more detail to make it easy for you to understand. Let's suppose we're going to build an activity recognition app, right? And we have one variable, which is speed. If I'm going to write the rules for that, if I have like, I get a speed, I'll say, oh, if it's a speed less than 4, I will return, I'll tell you that the user is walking. That sounds okay, right? And if the speed is bigger than 4, it's greater than 4, sorry, then I will suppose the user is running. But that doesn't tell me all this. The story is not complete if I tell you that, because I might have another case where if the person is cycling, and how do I define that? Maybe if the speed is greater than 12, right? Let's define 12 here. And if it's bigger than 12, I'll tell that the person is on a bicycle. And I can keep doing that, but at some point I'll get to a place where I have this, right? So what's the speed here for someone doing golf? And how do I solve this problem? And so that's where, when we have classical programming or the regular programming we're used to, will not solve the problem for me. It will be absurdly hard to solve this problem. And if we come back here and look at how machine learning will solve that, let's imagine that I will not use traditional programming, using machine learning now. I have answers and I have the data. Let's suppose I have the data for the accelerometer of my watch, right? For all the activities I've just told you. So if I have all this information from my watch, and I will label this, look, this first part here is for people walking. This next amount of information is for people running, biking, and golfing, or any other activity, maybe swimming, right? Swimming is also, how do you do swimming, right? It's a little bit weird. I'll have all this information, and I'll give the machine labels. What the machine will do is run a process of learning over this data, and it will start to extract patterns from this data. And this pattern will tell the machine that, oh, every time this pattern happens, it's because the user is walking or running, or a different pattern for golfing. So this is how machines learn. They find patterns on data, and they use absurdly advanced algorithms to look into your data and find these patterns, right? I'm summarizing. It's more complex than that, but that's enough to get you to understand how it works. So how is the process? What is the process then? The process is, the machine starts doing something. The machine will first of all make a guess. Oh, I'll give you the information to the machine, and the machine will tell, oh, the user is running. And then I'll look into the running, and I say, no, this is wrong, and you are wrong by a lot. Okay, the machine will come back and, change how they think about the data, let's say like that, and try to guess again, and we'll keep guessing. So the process of learning, which is how machine learns, is look at the data, make a guess, and then we see how far this guess is from the correct answer, and it will run an optimization process, make a guess, try again, and keep doing that. So when we talk about machine learning, we have the process of training. And the process of training is just a machine making a guess, seeing how far it is from the correct answer, running an optimization, trying again, and keep doing that. That's why when we talk about training machine learning models, it takes usually quite some time, right? This is a long process because it's the machine making guess. These guesses are not random. They start random, but with the process of measuring accuracy, is seeing how far you are from the correct answer, and optimizing and making optimization after that, and making these guesses start to get better and better. It's like you can think like the machine starts to, they try a pattern in the data and they find out, yeah, this pattern is not great, let me try another, and get to a point where, oh, the machine gets very good at finding patterns in your data. And this is the training process. And the other part of machine learning that we have is we have the training, where we do that for for long time, sometimes days, sometimes weeks. And then we have another part of the machine learning process. The other part is called inference, which is, okay, my model, my machine learned something. When your machine finishes learning, you from that you get something that's a model, right? A model you can imagine as a very long math equation, right? This model is, you save that to a file. That's the goal of the machine learning something, is to create a model. When you have a model, now what you can do is you can get new data, give to the model, and the model will use everything it learned to give you an answer, to do an inference. So that's the process of doing inference, and that's why we train a machine learning model. So coming back to an example that you've seen many times, is a model that can detect dogs or cats, right? That's very common. Some people don't even like to see that image anymore, right? Because people use too much. But what happened is the machine looking into many pictures of dogs and cats, it will learn how to look into an image and decide if it's a dog or a cat and give you an answer. When the machine learns that, you get that model and you can use anywhere and give new pictures of dogs and cats, and the model will tell, this is a dog, this is a cat. This is the main idea of machine learning. This is the concept. So let's review some of the concepts. Learning is the process of giving data and answers. These answers we can call also labels, right? Giving data and label. Machine will go over this many times and extract patterns, extract rules from this data. This will generate a model. This model you can use later to do inference. So this is the idea of machine learning. Everywhere you see someone, oh, they are using machine learning because someone did the training somewhere, and now you have a model that will do the inference for you, right? We'll go into some examples on what people are doing, and then I can come back to this in more details. The next question you might have, okay, now you kind of understand what's machine learning, deep learning, at least at some level, right? We understood that. But now you can, okay, I know that, but how do I do this? How do I do machine learning? What should I know? Because I've seen that classical programming is not really going to help me directly, right? Here we have, I will present to you two options. There are other options, of course, but I'll show you two options. How can you do machine learning? First, you can do from scratch. You can create your own model with your data and understand how all the math behind it works, and you can put that in production and can do that using TensorFlow. So TensorFlow is a framework to create machine learning models. I'm going to more details in a little bit. Or if you don't want to start by doing your own model from scratch, you can use some cloud provider that will give you many APIs to do that work for you, that you can do other part of it. It's easier You have a lot of control, but it's a different perspective, right? Let's talk about TensorFlow a little bit. So TensorFlow is a framework for machine learning. It's open source, free, and end-to-end, which means that you can go from your data to a model deployed in production. You can do everything. TensorFlow has tools to help you run your model on a server, on a phone, on the browser, on any microcontrollers, anything. So for example, we are in a Zoom call here. I don't know if you saw, you can change background, blur image, do all this kind of stuff. This is machine learning running on your browser, for example, right? And you'll see some examples in a little bit. So TensorFlow can help you with all of that. TensorFlow was open sourced in 2015, and it has seen tremendous amount of usage. Those numbers are more than a year old, and you can see it's in the millions of downloads, millions of readers. It's very, very popular. I'm not going to go into details on numbers. It's a little bit annoying. What are the goals of TensorFlow? To make machine learning, building machine learning models easy and approachable to anyone. So if you start learning TensorFlow today, you are able to create a model kind of easily without having to understand all the math behind it, right? Later, if you want to study the math behind it, you can, and you can improve your understanding, but you can start easier and get some results. It's very powerful in terms of you can use all the processors and resources you have available, so it's absurdly scalable and optimized for performance. It has a perspective for, it can be used by researchers that are, when we talk researchers in the machine learning world, we're talking about people that are creating state-of-art models. They're creating models that nobody thought about before, right? Ideas, completely new ideas. So these people have a different usage of TensorFlow than from enterprise. Enterprise usually are not creating completely new models. They are applying machine learning. They're using machine learning to help them on their data center or to help. Can you still see my image? Is it okay? Can people do thumbs up? I don't know. I cannot see my. Oh, it's okay, I guess. Okay, nice. Thank you. So enterprise have a different way of using machine learning. They try to improve their usage of energy or have like a recommendation system, like YouTube has a recommendation system, or you can do any amount of things. So enterprise use machine learning different than a researcher, and developers can deploy machine learning on their apps or can be experts and help enterprise. So TensorFlow is the tool that all of those people can use. It's not specific for any one of them. And so this is TensorFlow. This is very good to know if you want to build your models. The other option is use, for example, something like Vertex AI. Vertex AI is how Google Cloud Platform provides machine learning for you. So it's a unified platform that gives you access to all possible machine learning pieces to create your own solutions. They're all hosted, that you don't need to worry about the machine behind it. You don't need to worry about how to do some of the more, or how do I create this cluster? How do I create this VM? It's all there for you in an easy way to understand. And what Google, the Cloud AI or Vertex AI has is they have pre-trained APIs. So for example, you can just, I need an API to given an image, tell me what's on this image. There's an API for that. There's an API to do the same with text. There's an API to do the same for other tasks, to create bots, to create conversational bots, right? They have that ready. Oh, but I don't want to use what's already pre-made. I want to create my own. I want to customize. You can also do that using Vertex AI. You can customize your model using TensorFlow, as we've just seen, or you can use something called AutoML, which is a way of the machine learning automatically without your code, let's say like that. So what you do is you get a lot of images with their labels. So you have a lot of images of sharks, for example, sharks and whales. And then you have all these images. This is a shark, this is a whale, this is a shark. You give all these images and answers to AutoML. AutoML will create a model for you that for new images of sharks or whales, it will tell these are sharks or whales. You don't need to worry about anything. It will create the best model possible for you. It will keep training many models, many models, and between those models, it will choose the best one with the most accurate result that uses less battery if you want, that can be deployed on a mobile device. You can put all these restrictions, so it will create the model for you. As a start solution, this is an amazing solution because you don't need to know how the code goes behind it. After you train this model, you just make a REST API call to it. You just send an image, get the result. Easy as that. Aside from having these tools, it has also tools to deal with data, to deal with to deal with custom trainings. As I mentioned, you can create full pipelines that go from your data to clean your data, to train a model, to deploy a model in production, to test if the model is better than the previous one. We have tools for all of that. So Vertex AI is a solution, a more enterprise solution, I would say, that any company can use and benefit from all these controls and all these resources, right? Now that we know how to do machine learning, who is doing machine learning? Of course, I'm from Google. I'll tell examples from my side. Basically, most of the products on Google use machine learning at some level, right? Of course, Assistant use machine learning to understand what you're saying, and it's way more complex than that. Google Search uses text understanding. So every time you do a query, your query is not directly processed. There's no link to a query and to a record, right? There's okay, the user typed this. What did they really mean? What are they really searching? So there's a lot of machine learning there. Last week or the week before, there was an event, the Google search event, where they mentioned a model called MUM, M-U-M, which can understand your queries even deeper. It can suggest solutions, suggests answers to questions that gives you a lot of context. That's absurdly advanced machine learning, right? And that's on Google search. YouTube has a lot of machine learning in terms of, for example, when you do, there's a recommendation system, basically as that, right? Recommendation system is a machine learning model behind it. On Gmail, for example, I don't know if you use the compose option where you start typing and it will suggest the rest of the email for you. That's machine learning, of course. And that when you start using that, the problem is that when you type without it, it's weird. You like, how can I autocomplete my email, right? It's like when you're coding and there's autocomplete for code, Gmail does autocomplete for email, which is super cool. And of course, DeepMind use a lot of that's their thing, right? Using deep learning to solve very complex problems. For example, last week, they published a model that can predict rain. And it's better than the technology that we had before. So this is, predicting rain is absurdly complex. It's something that people have been trying to do consistently for many years. And they have a model that it's very good results. It was published on Nature. They keep doing this, like the StarCraft player. They created a bot that can beat top players on video games. I really like StarCraft. So when I saw that was I was very impressed. Let's see some more examples of how machine learning can help you. Here, for example, I have an example. The main example I would like to show is the one on the right, which is the camera. So your camera on your phone, doesn't matter which phone it is, if it's an iPhone, Pixel device, Samsung, all of them run a lot of machine learning on your pictures nowadays. That's the picture you take. There's a lot of work behind it because they use those very small sensors to take amazing pictures. So there's of course the hardware part, but there's a lot of heavy lifting for machine learning behind it, working on your image to make it prettier. So this is kind of there's a no way back, right? I guess the next evolution would be when you point your camera somewhere and your phone will tell you, it kind of does that already. It will tell you, look, move your phone a little bit to the left because then your picture will be a little bit better. Or something that the phone does, sometimes you're taking a selfie and it says to you, I don't know if every camera does that, but it shows, look, if you're taking this selfie, maybe you should raise your phone a little bit to look from here instead of looking from the bottom, which people think it's a better self. And so this kind of suggestion is only available because there is machine learning behind it. Another cool example that there is there's a recorder app. And this is an example of why machine learning cannot be used like randomly. You have to use it in a way that, first of all, it doesn't even look like it's there, right? If you can make people think there's magic involved, you're using machine learning in a good way, I would say. So what does the recorder app? The recorder app is just a audio recorder. That's all it does, right? You record audio completely on the phone. There's no cloud involved there. You record. Why it's important? Because when you are recording, it will tell you what's happening on the audio. It will tell, oh, there's someone speaking. Oh, there was a siren, there was a horn, there was a chicken in the background, dog, and it will tell you everything that's happening in the audio. It will transcribe this audio to text, so you can later search whatever you recorded. And if you're taking notes in a class, for example, and then you want to search, oh, when was that moment that Gus said artificial intelligence? You can search that in your audio later. And another thing it does, it also creates sections on your text automatically. So for each part of your audio, it will understand what's the main topic on that part, and will create a section for that. So this is all machine learning behind running. This is specifically impressive because it works completely on the phone. Nothing of this goes to the cloud. It's all in your phone, completely offline. And this is very advanced, I would say. So the understanding of text that I just mentioned to create the section is kind of the same model that Google search uses to understand the queries you do. So this is a very advanced language understanding of machine learning models, right? Another use that I like, it's super good, is on the Pixel devices, the Pixel phones, they have like a car crash detection. And what it does is when the phone notices that something weird happened to your phone, it will give you a timer. And if you don't do something, it will auto call some emergency. Why that? Because if there's a car accident and your phone detects it, it will call emergency for you. And that happened already in real life, let's say, right? With people, and they were saved because their phone called emergency. And if you think about that, how would you train this model, right? How can you predict this kind of thing? Because if I drop my phone here, I'm here. If I drop it here, I don't want it to call emergency because I dropped my phone on the floor, and people drop their phones every day, non-stop, right? That's a thing that happens. So how can it differentiate from dropping from your hand to a car crash, right? And this is there's a blog post about that. They explain what they did, how they trained the model, how they do it in a way that it's not all the time calling emergency, of course. So this is a very cool use case of machine learning that's helping people. On a more, let's say, fun way of doing things, there is a model specifically that's called Sketch RNN. And this model, what it does is you start to draw something and it will complete for you. And this is super fun to use. There's a URL there if you want to play with it. I guess it's still online. The model is available if you want to play with it. And the idea is you can do many things with this model. You can tell it to draw fire trucks, which is the drawings you can see there, fire trucks. And it will keep trying to draw many types of fire trucks. It will do these doodles. And you can compete against it. You can say, oh, let me draw, see if you can guess what I'm drawing. So these models are all based on machine learning. You can understand how you draw something. There's a data set if you want to play with doodles, like thousands of doodles drawn by people, and you can train your own model. And there's some other real world impacts. The last three I would like to talk to you. And they are real world happening right now, people are using. The first one is NOAA. NOAA is an agency that takes care of the seas in the US, right? And one thing they are trying to do is understand how humpback whale migrate. Because if you want to protect them, you have to understand where they are and what they're doing. How do you track whales? They are kind of very big, if you think, but they're how do you track them, right? So one thing that NOAA did, they put lots of microphones in some parts of the sea, and they monitor for the whale sound. So they know when a humpback whale is going through and when they did it, and they have hours and hours of these recordings. So what they did is they partnered with Google and some researchers to devise a model that can detect when the microphone detects a whale, because you want to understand the timings of when the whale are around, so you can define their migration patterns, right? And the fun thing is that without machine learning, you would need someone to keep listening to hours and hours of many microphones and try to, oh, there's a whale here. Can you imagine that, how hard that would be? Can you, we are talking about 15 years of audio, right? So it's not like 2 hours, it's like 15 years of audio recording, 9 terabytes of data. So we did a research with them, and we produce a model that's on that URL. If you type that, you can use the same model to play around if you want. And so you can detect whales, and it's you helping protect them, right? The other thing you know already, of course, it's text spam. So when you receive an email, one thing that's very annoying is when you receive an email and it's like, oh, I have all this money I can give to you if you deposit back on my account $1 million, and I am from a Nigerian prince, and all this kind of things. That was, I guess, in the 90s, people saw that more. But then spam detection became so powerful that you see way less spam nowadays, right? So spam detection is an obvious machine learning application, right? And the fun thing is that this can be done on machine learning, not even deep learning. Machine learning can do very good spam detection, and this is a very obvious use case, and that's helping people every day. And the last one, last use case I would like to talk about is the Zoo Society of London. Is the zoo here in London. They have all these projects to protect wildlife, right? That's one thing they really are into. So the zoo is, the animals come here when they cannot survive somewhere else, but they want to protect these places where the animals come from. And one thing they want to protect is from illegal poaching, right? When hunters are, I don't like those people, but they go and kill an elephant just because they want like the teeth of the elephant. So how do you protect these animals in the forest? It's very hard, right? What can you do? Can you put barriers of people around the forest? How many people do you need? How can you do things? So one thing that they needed is to find out first where poachers were attacking. And one thing they had is audio recordings of the forest, many hours of audio recordings. So what they did is they get these recordings, and they used a model called YumNet that you can also get there, and they look for gunshots and other similar audio to find when and where those happen. When you have a map of where those are happening, you can act and have more people looking to those places specifically, because you cannot monitor the forest completely at the same time, right? It's absurdly huge. So this is one very good use. It's happening right now. They have this monitoring. They have data. There's a blog post about that if you search for it. So machine learning also, because you need audio recognition, which is something you cannot do without it, right? There's no other way of doing that. So those are, so that's what I want to talk to you about today. What's machine learning? Maybe a little bit where can you start doing machine learning, and some use case of what people are doing already. There's a lot of other use cases, lots and lots. I just gave some examples, some real world uses where people are really getting things done, where they're really solving problems. But there's many more to come. There's, of course, the challenge of machine learning, how to do a model, how to be fair, how to do proper. And this is part of the learning. If you want to learn more about TensorFlow, tensorflow.org is a good way to start. I'd like to thank you all for your time. And if you want to ask more questions later, you can follow me on Twitter. I'm always talking about machine learning every day. And thank you very much. If you have questions, I'm here to answer.
All right, great.
Was it okay?
Thanks. guys. Great. Yeah. Thanks a lot for Tech Talk. Yeah, we have a few minutes for the questions. For those want to ask questions, feel free to post in the chat. We will go through them, and also you can raise your hand, and I will unmute you to speak to ask questions. Okay, so I see some questions in the chat, and also see when raise a hand. Let's give the priority to the people raise a hand. So I think that's easier to go through. Give me 1 second. Okay, the first one is Deboki. Sorry if I pronounce your name incorrectly, but please go ahead.
Yes, thank you. I just want to ask one question about the auto ML. So these are pre-trained models, right? It is trained with thousands and millions of data. So suppose I want to feed a time series data. So this auto ML can take this, or only it is relevant to pictures?
So that's a very good question. Thank you very much. I don't think AutoML does time series. What does time series for forecasting, right? For example, if you want to predict the next value, right? That's what people usually want to do with time series. The BigQuery ML, which is part of Vertex AI also, can do predictions. You can give a time series and tell it, create a model for forecasting. And it will create a model based on your time series that will do forecasting. This model doesn't use other forecasting, other time series data. It does from, it creates a model for you. So it's different from AutoML. It creates a model for you based on how people usually create forecasting models, right? So for AutoML specifically, it's exactly as you said. There's a lot of base models that they start from, and they kind of start to create like many possibilities on your using your data, and then they get the best one. But that's basically for image, for text, for a video, I guess they're doing also. So that's no time series on this case. Does it make sense? Okay.
Okay, great. Let's next one. Israt, ISRAT. Please go ahead.
Yeah, it's Israt. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Hi. So just for your question, I have been sort of exploring. I currently work in the cloud industry myself, but AI space is something that's exploring and trying to get some expertise in. So my question would be, I know that Google has ML certifications for I think an ML engineer. So what would you sort of recommend for someone who's starting a journey within the AI sort of industry to do that sort of certification to be able to understand or have a deep dive into the AI offerings that Google has?
Yeah, thank you very much for your question. So in terms of certifications, there are the cloud certifications. There's also the Tensorflow certification. And why I think they're a good idea, and I'll tell you why. It's not only for the final, oh, I have this certificate, right? You can post on LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. That's not the main thing. The main thing is the journey to get there. The study you had to do to understand and do the tests and learning. So this study, this will give you all the information and the skills that people will need when you start working with machine learning. So this journey is important, right? So I did certification in the past for many things because I wanted to learn how to do that thing, right? So I did many certifications on machine learning. Did for when I was in a previous life, I was working with risk management for financial market. I did certifications there. Why? Because I want to learn the processes. I want to learn how to do the job, how to apply those things. So I think that the certifications are good, and but they're more important not for I have this certification. This is good also, but it's more for, I learned everything in the process. I know how to do a model. I know how to deploy it. Something like that. Does it make sense?
Yeah, and so would you say, like, as a career, like, if someone wants to, let's say, wants to join Google and the AI sector within Google, like, what would be your recommendation? Like, what sort of skill sets do you think that someone who want to specialize within the AI ML sector, like, what sort of skill set do you think is like fundamental and core they need to sort of check in, or like, make sure they have those things ready as a foundation before they can start applying, so they don't get disappointed, let's say?
Of course. Yeah, so that's a very good question. What things I think that helped me learn? No, I know, like, I know Python as a programming language that helped me a lot, right? Because most of the examples are in Python. Just because of that, it's not because it's better or not than other language. Most of the examples are in Python. So knowing how to read Python, how to write code in Python really helps. The other thing I would do is you kind of need to decide if you want to do create models yourself, or you want to become someone that is expert on deploying models, or if you're expert on reusing models. You have to kind of decide, because that depends on how much math you need to know. At first, you can just get the idea. You don't need to go super deep. You can just read a little bit, do the machine learning crash course from Google. It will give you a lot of information, and you can start easy. And then you can start maybe, let me try to use any of the cloud providers to train a model by yourself. You can do that. You will learn a lot of what is needed, where you're missing. So I would start with learning Python, doing some machine learning basic course, so you understand how things connect in more detail, more than what I explained today. What is neural network? What are the layers? All this kind of thing, processes. And on the next step, learn how to deploy things on the cloud. Doesn't need to be, of course, Google Cloud. Any of the cloud providers have, Google Cloud's better, but any of the cloud providers have their tool for machine learning tools. Learning some of them, that would be a good start. Sometimes if you need help, like, I don't know exactly where to start, a certification will help you a lot, because it will give you a path to do all that I told you. So I guess those are some tips. Does it help?
Great. So let's move on to a few questions in the chat. So by the way, someone asked some questions about the code labs. We're going to get started in a few minutes, right after the tech talk. So just a quick update. One is for the code lab, and nothing you need to install on your computer. Everything is running in the cloud. All you need to do is the web browser. And the second one is all of those code labs, actually they are paid. And thanks for Google sponsor, and they give us a coupon, which you can use for run all of those code labs for free. However, you have to activate that coupon today on the October 4th. So that's the code only working for today. So if you cannot bear up with us for go through all of the code labs or the first code labs, you have to activate. You have to activate the code today, or stay with us a few minutes after you activate the code, and you can, if you have to go, you can working on it later. So that's for the coupon. So go back to the questions. Guys, can you look at the chat, or you want me to read to you?
If you can tell me, that would be better.
Okay. Yeah, I see there are quite a few in the quite a lot on the chat. So I'm going to pick a few. One is it says subtitles are also generated through deep learning technologies, right? I'm not sure what is the context of the question.
Yeah. So many videos on YouTube, for example, people don't give subtitles with the video, and they are generated automatically by a technology called speech to text, which is the machine listening and extract from it what was said. This is getting better and better every paper, let's say, like that's published. So today it's very good. So we could have like auto captions for what I'm saying, and of course nobody wrote that, right? That's also machine learning application. There was one question on the chat about the recording app that I mentioned. I guess it's just Recorder is the name of the recording app. It's very basic, right? It's Recorder app, and it's from Google. That's all. I'm I'm trying to look for more questions. If there's any questions, please put on the chat. I'm reading right now also. And there's a question, I guess, from Richka. It's
You want to
raised hand.
or you will look at it by yourself?
Oh, it's someone with the raised hand.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't see that. Okay, let me.
No problem.
Okay, go ahead, Ritika. Go ahead.
Hi, thank you for giving me the opportunity. So I'm basically a student of data science as well and computer science. So right now I'm looking for jobs, and it's like there are very less opportunities in data science at the entry level position. So what do you think, like how long does it take to transition from software engineer jobs to machine learning jobs or as a data scientist in the industry?
First of all, thanks for the question. This is, I don't have a correct answer for, oh, it takes like 1 year, 2 years. One thing I would start is to create, because it's different, right? Data science, machine learning, although they're related to computer programming a little bit, they use very different tooling and techniques. So that's why it's not easy to just try, I want to become right now. One thing I would do is start to build your own portfolio of, I don't know, some Kaggle competitions. You play with that, start to learn the process. Because it can take like from 6 months, 1 year, you might be, oh yeah, I know how that works. And then you can try a data scientist or a machine learning engineer job. But when you do that, they will ask you questions in terms of, okay, are you a machine learning engineer? Explain to me model, how does this model works? So you need to know all of these concepts more in detail. It's more than just using an API, right? You need to explain more in detail how does the caption works? How does the machine learning model that does auto caption works? You have to go into all the details. It's so this is requires you to study that more, and I would say it's completely doable. I of course didn't start as a machine learning anything, right? I was a regular developer. What I did is, I'll give you what I did, right? What I did is I start to, first of all, learn the concepts. I learn the idea, learn what's TensorFlow, start to do my own models and create some content around that. I had a portfolio, and then I changed. That was it. So I guess how long, that the question of how long, it's a little bit harder, right? Depends on people. Sometimes takes longer or shorter to learn something. But that's completely doable. That's what I want to tell you. And I guess start to studying those concepts, how things work more deeply. That will take you there. Sorry if it's kind of a known answer, right?
Okay, we have another question in the chat from RG. He or she is asking, for enterprise, what advantages does GCP pose versus building your own dev environment and training?
So that's a very good question. So when you're enterprise level, building servers, pipelines, and everything on your own cloud, on your own servers, it's a lot of work that's completely not related to machine learning. It's like you need like many people to worry about servers, to worry about where you save your data, where you're sharing things with whom. All this work, if you do on your own, it's a lot of non-machine learning work. It's like only DevOps work. Google Cloud or Vertex will help you, giving you only the results. You can use the services instead of worrying, oh, my machine broke, my machine is not good enough, I need a better one, should I upgrade? So all these details you have to worry yourself, and that it's a lot. It's not like trivial. You can cloud provider will give you, like not for free, of course, you have to pay, but will give you all the resources in the proper connected already one with each other, and you don't have this DevOps work. That's a lot. We cannot I cannot stress that enough. It's a lot of work. So that's why cloud provider will give you, it's better. And then people say, oh, but then I have to pay. Yes, you pay for to have access to all the services. The prices are not huge. So for example, a friend of mine created a gallery art search app from scratch, training a model like in a week. It cost him, I don't know, $500. Train the model, everything. And you say, oh, $500, that's a lot of money. Is it? You just created a product from scratch with all the services. You don't need to worry about any server, anything, with a state-of-the-art model for $500. That doesn't pay a developer. $500 a week doesn't pay a developer. So that you have to take into account. Of course, some situations, if you have data that cannot be on cloud, for example, in some situations data cannot be on the cloud, then it's different. Then you might have to have something internal on your environment to train models, but then you need to worry about having GPUs, machines with a lot of memory, very expensive hardware to do your training. Some people do that because that's a kind of regulatory restriction. But if you don't have that, I would definitely try cloud. I wouldn't even think about it. Go try cloud at first. That's it.
Great, thanks. I still see we have a lot of questions in the chat. Unfortunately, because of our time constraints, we have to.
Let's answer another three.
Okay. Yeah. Well, if you can quickly go through them, and I think we can bear maybe a couple more minutes to complete.
Let's allow Sunil. Sunil is with raised hand.
Okay.
While I'm going to read questions around it.
Okay. Hey, Sunil, I can go ahead.
Hey, hi. It's a great initiative. So my question is around the same, which the previous probably a person who asked about how to get into the industry, get a job. In this case, I know the answer was to create a portfolio. So mostly the portfolios are created around GitHub. But then when it comes to an interview, right, you cannot execute the code via GitHub. So then it becomes, usually GitHub is just mostly about documenting. So are there any other portfolios where you can execute the code and, and because most of the models involve GPUs, is there a way to get cheaper ways to get, one of the answer was to try Kaggle competitions, right? But the main hindrance is that, the GPUs are involved and, it's not cheap. So is there a way to, get some cheap GPUs, which we can use to create our own models, when taking up Kaggle competitions or even when trying some solved examples? We
Of
still
course.
need, yeah.
Oh, sorry, interrupted you. Yeah, no. I completely understand. And I guess the official answer to that is using Google Colab. Google Colab is an environment completely free on the cloud that you can run machine learning models.
Mm-hmm.
It has GPU, has TPU. It's free. Of course, it has some limitations.
Yeah.
So you
I've been using I've been using Google Colab, and I know there is a mode where we can use GPU, but then it is because it's free, so it comes with limitations. But are there any still like lower cost GPUs which we can use for working out our own models or even trying out existing models? Because like most of the time we want to try out something where the solution is already there, so that we can learn those solutions by replicating it. But is there a way to do that with some cheap GPUs, like or do you think like how much should it cost? Like let's say I take one example from Kaggle and I want to solve it. So how much time do you think, or should I be spending on the GPU? One is that. Second question is like, most of the solved examples, right? They are solved in 2019, 2020. And when I take and run this code now, it doesn't work because the versions
Which example, sorry?
Oh, so let's say I take some code that is available in Kaggle, which was like in the top 10. I take that code, I run on Google Colabs or any other environment. Sometimes it doesn't work. It's broken because maybe the versions are like past and all that. So then it becomes a waste of time, right? Like you spend so much amount on the GPU, but then the code doesn't work. So again, you have to go back to square one and try that. So what do you suggest there? I know
That's
you
a
must
good
have been
question. So, yes, I've been. So one thing for Colab to use one thing I use Colab Pro, which is like $10 a month. I know for some people that's money, right? So sorry, but if you want better GPU, 10 a month. For example, if I open my command line here and I try to run any TensorFlow code, my TensorFlow might be very old. Everything is, I don't use my machine to train models. It's a Mac, doesn't have GPU. I don't even care. I use everything on every day on Colab. So I train like very advanced models, BERT related models, big models. They all work fine. I use Colab Pro because it has more memory and longer periods for training. So this is my what I would suggest. It's exactly what I do, right? But I understand that $10 a month might be more than,
No, that is nominal. It's at least like it's not as big as spending like hundreds of dollars.
Oh no, it's not
$10
hundreds
a
of
month
dollars.
is good.
It's 10 a month. I have look, I have very good. I cannot complain,
Okay.
although I'm very biased, right? Google Colab, Google, right? But I cannot complain. It works fine. About the Kaggle thing, that's all the code that you see on Kaggle. The problem is for the competitions, people just let me win or do something, and sometimes like the APIs change, the libraries evolve, and the code breaks. So this is a little bit annoying. What I do is I usually try to use more fresh code, because that people are from latest examples. I was in a competition there was a Kaggle 30 days. I was playing with that. There was some good collabs that you could learn a lot of stuff. So I guess I would go for more fresh content. Unfortunately, code it's like rot, right? As they say, if you don't look for too long, it will stop working, unfortunately.
Yeah, I understand that. Thank you for the answer.
No problem.
And one more last question. Okay, so Collab notebook. So can we use that as a portfolio? Like Collab notebooks can be used as a portfolio for jobs.
So if you have, for example, your GitHub repository, you can put IP and Y and B. I don't remember them. So you can put multiple of those, and you can see I created this model that does this. Collab there, and then the whoever is analyzing your resume or portfolio can just go and run and say, it works here. So definitely, yes, create portfolio like that. I know people from the community that is doing great work and publishing those works. Another place you can find good code to look at is keras.io. There's a lot of very good examples of machine learning there.
Yeah, can you spell that? Can you spell that or put it in the chat? Because that
I'll
way
put in the chat for you here. Keras.io.
Currently, I've been using Jovian.ai.
I don't know that.
So it is actually linked with GitHub as well as with Collab. So what happens is, like, whenever I do changes in the Collab, it also takes a copy and puts it on the Jovian notepad. So which means like I don't have to go and copy it or upload it. So right now I'm doing that, but I'll also try the one that you have said. And the only problem that I also find is, like, when I tried Google Collab.
Okay, sorry, Sunil, I have to stop here, and I know you have some questions, comments.
For all the other questions, send me on Twitter. I'll be available. Just send. I'll try to answer.
Another way to that is maybe, guys, you can hang in here a little bit, and folks, if you have questions, you can post in the chat. He can answer it in the chat. And just make sure when you type in the chat, make sure to select to everyone. So not just to me, otherwise I probably, guys probably cannot see him. So yeah, make sure post your question in the chat. So for those who are not, your question is not answered, yeah, you can post in the chat. He can talk to you in the room chat. We have to move on to our next big part of the event, the Code Labs. Let's again, thanks a lot, guys, for the presentations. I want to, to give a round of applause. If you can, turn on your camera to show your, you give claps. And also, if you can send the claps in the chat, in the, in the room reactions, that'd be great. Thanks a lot for everybody's support, and thanks, guys, for the presentations.
Thanks, everyone. It was amazing. I'm very glad that was helpful, and I'll be around.
Great, great. All right, so let me take over the screen and we're going to get started on the code labs. So is everybody can see my screen? Awesome, great. Let's move on to the code labs. So okay, some of the again the logistics for the code labs, and for the rest of the time of this event, we're going to spend all of our times to working through a few code labs. So the most important thing is make sure you join the Slack. If you have not joined the Slack yet, make sure to join it. Let me send the link to the chat again. So what we're going to do is, since the code lab, most of them hands-on, you're going to run the code, execute the code. So if you need help, ask questions, we're going to do everything on the Slack. We also have mentors. Today we have a few mentors in the Slack group to support if you have questions. Thanks, David, Yo, and also a few other mentors. So again, make sure to join the Slack. After you join Slack, make sure to join the channels, Google AI Machine Learning Workshop. We have a lot of channels in the Slack, so make sure you join the right one. In the Slack, if you have after joining the channels, they have a code lab instructions. So that one actually is pinned in the channel. So you should be able to find it, and you just click it to open up. And we have all of the details in the instructions in the working document. So if later you if you join late, or if you later kind of like come back, you can go back to the working document to follow the instructions. So for the code labs, the first step going to get the credit. So all of the code labs, the tool we use called Qwik Lab. So Qwik Lab is the online learning platform to learning the Google technologies. So they have the all hands-on Qwik Labs, code labs, and workshops, and all of them actually in the real Google Cloud platform environment. So many of them are paid. You have to pay to run those run those workshops, labs. Thanks for the Google support. They they sponsor us some of the coupons, so we can run those code labs for free. So the first task to run code labs is to get a credit. So a little bit tricky. They involve a few steps, but let's go through together to make sure you don't pay to run the code labs. So again, the first one is I assume everyone already have a Qwik Lab account. If you don't have one, you can just go there to sign up, create an account very quickly. It's free. It's qwiklab.com. Again, it's the instructions in the working document instructions in the in the Slack channel. So just click it to open it up. The link is all the links is over there. So after you create account, or you already have account, before you move to the next step, make sure you sign out, log off from the Qwik Lab. Basically the idea is we need to get this coupon, the access code, this big red one, this one, and make sure it's working to get a credit. So in order to do that, so the first one is you sign out from the Qwik Lab, and the second step is go to this landing page and make sure to using the incognito window. The reason is that one is more private, and if you have a Gmail account, if you have other Google account open up right now, and later on we're going to have a new Google account to sign into the Code Labs. So those one will sign out your original one. So it probably make a little bit inconvenience for you. So the best way is just open an incognito window, or go to the, using the Firefox web browser, so they're not to sign out your own Google account. So go to this open the incognito window and go to this landing page. Again, the link is in the working document instructions. So you can just click over there. Later I'm going to post to this here too. So once you go to this website, scroll down to the machine learning. I mean, they have a lot of quests on this page. You scroll down to the machine learning and artificial intelligence section and find the quest name perform fundamental data, machine learning and AI tasks, and click enroll. After you click that one, it will ask for the access code. You type in the access code. So again, you can also copy paste from the instruction document. If you can type, make sure if you type, make sure you type correctly. It's a 1S, not I. So it's all the lowercase. It's a 1S-Seattle-3278. After that, you sign in Qwik Lab with your account, and then click the enroll to this quest. After this one step, you should be able to see you got a 9 credit. You can move your mouse to the top right section of your profile. You should be able to see 9 credits over there. Once you have these 9 credits, you are good to go. You have the credit, and all of for later on, when we start with the Code Lab, you can using the credit to do that. After you finish the first lab, in that quest, we have about 7 to 9 labs. So after you finish using the credit to finish one, and then you get a monthly subscription for free. Basically, from today to 1 month, you're going to run all of those labs or any other labs for free for 1 month. So this initial credit just for start the first lab. If you have trouble to not get the credit, just to make sure sign out from your Qwik Lab account. Just repeat the process. Sign out and open the incognito window and go to the landing page. If you already enrolled, click on enroll, and then enroll to this quest again. Make sure to select the perform fundamental data and machine learning and AI tasks this quest. This code only working for that quest. I mean, on that landing page, you should probably see a lot of other quests, but make sure you only select that one. This code only work for today and only working for that on that quest. So I'm going to pause here for a few maybe a few minutes. We'll see how if you have questions, post in the chat or in the Slack, we can figure out. Thank you for Ivan for sharing. Yeah, some of them, it's a little bit tricky. So sometimes probably not showing immediately, but sometimes you go back and forth a couple of times. You probably should be able to see that you have 9 credits. When you see you have 9 credits, you please do not start your lab right now. Just stay in the first lab, code lab over there. We will later on, I will explain the labs and we can get started together. Again, the code you have to activate it today to get the credit, and then later on, you can spend later today or tomorrow, you can finish your code, you finish the lab, but you have to activate the credit today. I guess the simpler way to join without credit is you pay the code lab with your credit card. I'm not sure that is easy or not, but yeah, I mean, you should not need to pay anything. Just follow these steps, and you should be able to get the credit. And then after you finish the first code lab, you will get a monthly subscription. And also, if you finish all of within 1 month, if you finish all of the 6 or 7 code labs, you will get another 1 month for free. So totally you get 2 months for free to run any labs in the Qwik labs, not just this lab, not just this quest for the, remember in the landing page, you have a lot of other quest code labs workshops you can use in your monthly subscription to run all of them within 1 month or 2 months, depends on your how many you got. So just again, well, clarify is the code is only to get the 9 credits. So you have to do it today. After you get a credit, you can work on the labs today, tomorrow, or this week, and or until the end of this month, you have like 1 month for free to finish your labs. Of course, as soon as you finish it, it's better. After you finish all of the labs in that quest, you will get another 1 month for free. So that's how it works. For the Qwik Lab account, you can use in your Google account. That one is fine, and so that's not related to, you can use in any account for your Qwik Lab account. But later on, when we do the code labs, the code lab itself, that one actually need another account. That one actually is automatically generated account to run on GCP. So again, when we get into the code lab, they're going to have the instructions over there. I just try to see if any questions in the chat or in the Slack. Again, you can ask questions for the mentors. If I'm kind of like busy with something else, you can ask questions in the Slack. We have David, Tang, and Yo. They are helping you on the, if you have trouble to get a credit or other questions. You can find their name in the channel. They have the mental parentheses after their name, so you should be able to find it. Again, if you if you still did not get credit, just to repeat the process, sign out from your Qwik Lab account, open the incognito window, go to the landing page, enroll or unenroll to that quest, enter the access code. Again, make sure your access code is correct. Do not mistype. Sometimes mistype the code. So you can. The best way, go to the document instructions, which in the Slack channel. Just copy paste the code. Probably the easier. After that, you should be able to see you got a 9 credits in your account. You can go to the Qwik Lab. On the top right, you have your profile avatar sort of things. You can hover your mouse on your avatar on the profile of your Qwik Lab account. You should be able to see the credit. Okay, let me check how many of you already got how many of you got credits? Okay. Hang on a second. It seems like my computer is freeze. I cannot see the screen anymore. Give me 1 second. Yes, if you get 9 credits, you are good to start the first lab. After you are done with the first lab, you will get 1 month subscription for free. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about it. My computer have some problems. I hope everyone's still okay. Let me just quickly I just launched a poll to show how many already got credit and how many still had trouble. Okay, most of got a few. Okay, most of them we got. Yeah, a few of them not get. I guess we can move on to the to a code labs. If you still have the problems, we will help you on the Slack. Yeah, sometimes it probably take a little bit longer time, but again, just go through the just repeat the follow the instructions steps on the code lab instructions. So you should be able to get 9 credit to get started. Okay, so let's go to the code lab, and then we will get started on the code lab. Not sure why it's so slow to access a web page. I'm not sure. Are you guys access the code? The Qwik Lab is okay. Seems like to me it's extremely slow. I'm not sure why. Okay, finally I got to sign in and enroll this quest. Yeah, we only have like about 200 people working on it. It should not that bad. Again, you should not need to buy any credit. You should for the access code, you should get 9 credit to kick off the first code lab. Okay, yeah, so I just follow the process steps and I got 9 credit. If you can see here, again, the code should works. Just go through the process. If you have a trouble, again, clean up your cache, whatever the cache you have, open a new incognito window, go to the landing page, and go through, follow the steps in the code lab instructions. The document instruction in the Slack channel, the pinned document, you should click it, open it up, and yeah, you should be able to get the 9 credit. Again, the code is only working for today. You have to activate it today. After you get 9 credit, using the credit to start the first code lab. Right now, if you see my screen, we are on the first code lab. So this is when you're done with the code lab, you should be able to get 1 month subscription for free. So which means 1 month you can run any code labs for free. So, okay, let's move forward. So if you still have troubles to get the credit, on the Slack, talk to David or Yo. They probably can help you on that. Let's move on to our first code lab. Before we get started, I just want to quickly to go through what is the code lab about, what are we going to learn, and you can get started, and we will work through together. So this for those who are not familiar with the code lab, the Qwik Lab. So this is the website. Qwik Lab is kind of like a platform to run the code labs, and this environment actually is on the real Google Cloud platform. So each lab is time bounded. Like for this one, you can see you have 1 hour. So you have a lot of steps, and later on we're going to follow the steps to finish this lab. So whenever you have started the lab, the time will start to counting. So you only have 1 hour for these code labs. Once the time started, you cannot stop, you cannot pause. So you have to finish it within 1 hour. If you cannot finish it 1 hour, you have to restart again. And so just go back. You already get 9 credit. So this one only take 1 credit. So you can take this. If you cannot finish the lab in 1 hour, don't worry about it. You can run this lab again with your credit, or later you have the monthly subscription. You can run it many times. So just remember, whenever you start the lab, you have 1 hour to complete it. So for this Qwik Lab, what are we going to do is we're going to follow the steps for machine learning. If you remember the talk by guys before, he mentioned about a few steps to get started on the machine learning. So in general, machine learning steps involve a few steps, to gathering data, to preparing data, to choose a model, and training the model, and evaluate the model. Sometimes you also need to do some hyperparameter tunings, and later, finally, you want to predict the model. So basically, you're going to training a model, and then you're going to using that model to predict some of the some of the predict some of the values you want to predict. So in this particular code labs, what we're going to do is we're going to predict a person's his or her income is low income or is high income. So they're using put into two buckets. One is he predict, let's say, given any person, you predict their income is greater than 50K or below 50K. So if you're familiar with machine learning, this is a typical classification problems. So into the packet. So if for the machine learning, we have two type of questions in general. One is classification. To put your predicted values into a few buckets. If only two values like this one, low income or high income, it's going to be called binary classification. Sometimes you also need to predict some of the values, like the temperatures, the full incomes. So that one we call it regressions. So like the house price. So that one is not different categories, more kind of like values. So that we call regression problems. So in this case, it's binary classification problems. So how are we going to do that? And the first one, we're going to build a model, and then later on we fit into a new person, and we can using the model to predict this person, the income is greater than 50K or below 50K. So the first step is we're going to gathering data. We're going to analyze, prepare the data, and then we're going to training models. So this process, this code lab actually goes through most of the steps for the machine learning. For the time being, we are not going to go through all of them, but it goes through major steps. So kind of like just you can get familiar with the steps involved into machine learning. They already have a data set. I know for any machine learning problem, you're going to start from the data set. So we already have a data set. It's from the United States Census, the data set. It will show some have persons, their their age, their the gender, the locations, some of the properties of this person. And they also labeled, their income is greater than 50K or below 50K. And then we're going to train a model based on this data set. That is kind of, we call it machine learning. So we're using the model to learn from this data set to optimize this model. And then later on we use the model to do the predict. So in order to the best way to go through the code lab before you get started, since once you start the lab, it's the time bounded. So I recommend it before you get started, click start the lab. You go through the lab description to try kind of like to understand what this lab is about, some of the important informations, and then when you kind of have a good idea what you're going to learn, what this lab is about, and then you start the lab, you probably have have more kind of like confidence to get it done within 1 hour. So here I give you just a couple of minutes to kind of like quickly go through the lab. You can just you can get to kind of like get to the step how to start your lab and sign into the Google Cloud Console, and then we can get started on the lab together. And if you feel comfortable with this one, you can click the Start Lab by at any times you want. So when you start a lab, it probably should ask you're going to use a credit to run the lab. So just choose that, and later when you're done with the lab, you will get 1 monthly subscription for free. So in the future, you don't have a credit, but you have the monthly subscription. So you can use that one to run all of the code lab for free. So I'm going to pause for a couple of minutes, and then we're going to start the lab together. Let me check if any questions in the Slack. Sorry for the TZPI. You are asking unmute, like you cannot hear me, or is something else? I'm not sure what you're asking for. And when you start the code lab, make sure to follow the instructions very carefully in the code lab. There are a lot of trips, a lot of like a tricky part. So if you miss follow the steps, you probably get into trouble state. So like the first one is once you start the code lab, you're going to launch the Google Cloud platform, and you have to log on to the Google Cloud platform. Many of you probably already have a Google Cloud platform account. Please do not using your own one. Your own Google Cloud platform account does not work. It's not authorized to run those code labs, so you have to pay for those things. In the instructions, it says very clearly, for each code lab, they generate a new account and a password. That one is authorized, and everything is set up correctly. So you have to using that account to log on. Again, the instruction is right clear in the code lab instructions. Just carefully read it and follow that. Do not using your own either Qwik Lab account or Google Cloud Platform account, any other account, using the account generated by the code lab. So as soon as you click the Start the lab, on the left side of the box, right below the Start the lab, it will showing you have an account and you have password. Using that account and the password to log on in the next page, and it should be good. You don't have a time limit for the credit, and to complete this lab, as soon as you start, you have 1 hour, but you can rerun the code lab again. Then no problem. When you're done with your code lab, the first one, before you in the previous page, you can see there are a whole bunch of code labs, 5 to 6. So when you're done with this one, the first one, you will get a monthly subscription fee. A monthly subscription, so you can do it for 1 month for free. Okay, so let me get started. Let's walk through together on the code labs. So if you are read through the instructions, kind of like to understand what it's about, it's time to get started. So you can click the Start Lab. So here, once you click this one, it will say launch with 1 credit. Since you have 9 credit before, so just click launch with 1 credit. Launch with 1 credit. Do not using launch with tokens. You don't have tokens. I have no idea about what's the token about. So anyway, so launch with 1 credit. Later on, when you're done with this code lab, you have 1 month subscription. It will showing when you run other labs, it will showing some like a launch with monthly subscription. But whatever it is, it's you don't need to pay anything to run those code labs. So after you start it, it probably take a few seconds to provision the lab resources. So here actually is a Google Cloud Platform. In their data center, they're going to provision lab resources. They're going to create a Google Cloud instance, Jupyter Notebook instance for you to run this lab. All right, so in my case, actually this one is got the lab is ready. You can see the time is start to counting. I have 1 hour to finish this one. For just another thing to be careful, on the right side of this one, you can see the orange 0/100. This is your progress. So later on, when you're done with all of those lab steps, this one should show you like a 100/100, which means you are done with your lab. You can end the lab. So make sure to end the lab if you are done. Here you can see open the Google console. You click it, it will open the Google consoles. And here it said showing the username and the passcode. So when we click the open Google console, it will open the Google Cloud console. It will ask to log on. You using this username and password to log on. This is mine, and do not you should have your own one. So here the username actually already bring here. So here just click next and put the password. Again, the password in that in the code lab instruction page here. So if you cannot, you can just go back to this page and copy paste the password here, and then sign in and accept. So this is the real Google Cloud console. So this is their productions. So later your companies, your project need to using Google Cloud platform. That's exactly the same same product, same user interface. So this is a real lab environment. So here we are on the console, and then what you can do is now we can go basically we've done these steps, all of this here, and then we can launch AI platform notebooks. So just again, follow those steps here. And I think that one is in the very bottom, artificial intelligence here. It has showing AI platform. See them and the notebooks. So you go to the in the menu here, go cloud platform, go to scroll down to the I think almost the very bottom, artificial intelligence section and AI platform, and click notebooks. So this one will create a new virtual machine with all of the lab environment files. Everything is ready there, so you can just run your labs and click the new instance and select TensorFlow, this one, and without GPU. I think that's the one. I think this one select the central, and I think maybe need to modify something a little bit. I think here the machine types they're talking about using the N1 standard tool, because this one a little bit cheaper or less powerful. you can see this actually does cost a lot of money for Google to run those instance labs. And with this credit, you don't need to pay anything. This one is already authorized with the account you just log on. So with that one, you can just click create. This will create that notebook instance with TensorFlows, with all the other softwares installed on the machine. Later on, we're going to connect to that machine and to run the Jupyter notebooks on it. This one will take probably maybe 1 minute or 2 minutes to create an instance, or sometimes even faster. But again, all of those steps is in these instructions here. So just read it and follow it. Should be fine. So I go through quite a few steps, but you can see it right here. I'm going to pause it here a little bit. I check if we have some questions in the chat or in the Slack. Oh, I saw we have some students already done with the code lab. Wow, that's really quick. Great. Yes, when you create a notebook instance, it does cost a lot of money. But again, that one already paid by the credit you are input. So don't worry about that. I think you need to change it to another machine type. That one a little bit less powerful and less cheaper. Save something for Google. If you want to try the again, this lab, as long as you have credit, you can run this lab again and again. You can end the lab, later on you did not finish in 1 hour, the lab will end it. And you can run the lab again. I mean, you have a 9 credit, you should be fine to run a few more times. Once you are done, you should get 1 month for free to run all of the labs, not just this one, any other labs for free for 1 month. All right, great. So I see some of them already done with the code labs, really great. And some of them move to the step 3.1, reach task 1, good, yeah. For those still did not get 0 credit, I'm not sure. Please reach out on us on the Slack. Our mentor probably can help you on that. Again, make sure you follow the steps in the code lab instructions. Sign out from your Qwik Lab, open incognito window, go to the Qwik Lab landing page, enroll or unenroll, and enter the access code. You should be fine. Yes, if you can complete all our modules today, that's great. If you cannot, you can do it, later today or this week. Let me see. Okay, so my instance created correctly, no problem. And you click this one to open the instance. And you should be able to see your Code Lab instance, Jupyter Notebook Labs instance here. And then you can continue to follow these steps here. Since I already did it before, so I know what I'm going to do. So basically click the terminals and come here. Actually, I don't remember steps. Let me go back to see it again. Okay, click this one. Oh, okay. The next one actually is to get the, so here you can just copy the steps. This one, they have some code, they have some labs, resources in the GitHub. Here you just clone to your instance. Here you can just copy paste and your progress depends on your code levels. So in your code level, when you scroll down to the, kind of like in the middle somewhere, it will show in check my progress. So if you follow those steps, check the steps, status of progress of your code level should be green, and your progress can, improve. And when you're done with all of steps, the last check will get your progress into 100. Oh, for Milan, you for the error. So if you see the instructions in the code lab in the notebooks, you need to replace your project name. They have instructions. The previous steps will output your project ID. You need to replace your project ID with your project ID. So you for that step, you cannot just copy paste to run it. You need to actually to modify it. Okay, I downloaded all of these resources to my instance and just go to this folder. Again, this folder is in the instructions, so you don't need to worry about it if you cannot follow me. And here, open up this Jupyter Notebook. And here is the Qwik Lab Jupyter Notebook, actually for all of the steps. You can read through some of them, or you can just go one by one. Before you get started, it's recommended to clean up all of the already output if we somehow already got around sort of things. So you go to the notebook, these menus, edit, clear all outputs, and then you, if you are familiar with the notebook, that's Jupyter Notebook, it's you can just follow through the follow the steps one by one to run it. If you're not familiar with this one, it's pretty straightforward. So this one, have some instructions here, explanations here, and have some command here. Here for each one, if you want to run it, you can just click here, and you have see these kind of like the triangle things. That means to run this cell. We call this each of the command here is called one cell. So you can click it and to run it. So basically you're done with the command. And whenever you see this kind of like instruction, this command, you can just run it. and some of them have output, some of them probably just run it. So I will just quickly go through some of them, explain a little bit of steps on those command we would run. And so again, if you have questions, post over this. So then step one for this one, basically to get the training data. If you still remember during the tech talks and during the steps of the machine learning, the first one to get the training data. So here we already have the data. So we here is just, remember before we kind of like download from the GitHub, the data set we already have. So here just to get into the training data. Remember the training data have two parts. One is training data, another one is test data, training data set. If you know a little bit about machine learning, when you have a data set, you usually split it into two. One is for training, one is for the evaluations. So basically for the trainings, you're using that one for building your model, training your model, and then using the evaluation data part to verify or evaluate how your performance is going. So here we already have those two data sets. So one is adult.data, another one is adult.test.csv. So here you can, this one just to kind of like show you what is in the training data set, what it looks like. So you can see this is kind of like the Excel spreadsheet, have some values here. I think, the first, each row is one person's information. I believe the first one is the age. Some they are kind of like their professions. I think some locations, they are kind of like educations, like married or not married, some gender, some race, and some informations. And the last one is the label, which means this data set is already labeled. This is called, in the machine learning, called supervised learning. Basically, the data set already been labeled. Each person, we already, this person is his or her income is below the 50K. This one is also below 50K, and some of them is greater than 50K. So based on this data set, what we're going to do is we're going to train a model based on this data set already labeled. So we build a model. So later on we get a new person. They are not labeled yet, so they can make a accurate prediction. So the step 2 is to run the local training jobs. So here they're going to create 3 files. So actually this is the main part of the machine learning. Here we probably don't have time to go through them. If you later on you have times, you can go through the code carefully to this like a main part of the machine learning. I think it have a lot of concepts about the machine learning, the training set, do some prepare data sets. Some of them have like missing values. Some of them need to kind of like standardized. So that's a lot of concept to involved into prepare the data set. And later on to build the model, and the models, many type of models, which kind of model to choose. Here we're using the Tensorflow, using the default one. And when you're building the models, they also have a lot of other things you need to define. Like, if you build the neural networks, how many layers, each layers, activation functions, loss functions, so on and so forth. So everything is already coded up here. And for the code lab today, you can just go through it quickly. And we, later on you have time, so you can just go deeper to try to understand what exactly each step doing. So here we are running the training job. After we have all of the code ready, so we just running the training jobs. It probably going to take a little bit longer, these steps. You can continue if you're done with the labs. You can just continue to go. Again, each of the labs is actually explain very have detailed instructions. If you don't have any problems, just keep going. See how many you can get done. So here the training actually I think the training is done, and they have a lot of output, and you can see the training actually doing like a multiple iterations. So each if you try to read through what the output means, basically you try to run the training jobs again and again. In this case, I think it's run 20 times, and the accuracies try to to improve the accuracies. And also using the evaluation data set to evaluate what's the model, the accuracy of the performance, the models, until when done with 20 times, and they got the result. This is the performance accuracies on the training data set, and this one is on the evaluation data set. So it looks pretty good, and for the purpose of this code lab, I think it's good enough. And in your real project, maybe you want to set maybe higher, or this one is good, or you want to keep training, maybe set it 30 times, or even more iterations. After that one is done, basically it's going to oh, I think I just accidentally run again. This is fine. So the nice thing about this Jupyter Notebook is if you can rewrite the cells again, so it's not going to be a problem. You might need to refresh your Jupyter Notebook. After you clone from GitHub, usually take like less than 1 minute to showing up on the left side. Just follow the folder instructions in the code lab. If you cannot, you can maybe run the GitHub, run the git clone that command again. Okay, so I got that one, and then this one will output basically some of the files. So that step basically to generate a model with our data set, and it's saved here. So later on, we're going to use the model to do the predictions. So here to prepare some, we actually come to the prepare prediction steps. So they generate 5 new persons, their information, and send it to the model for prediction. And this step should be to do the predictions. So here's the result. They have some kind of like the pink, this one just kind of like a warning, or you can ignore that. But the main thing is this is output of that 5 persons generated. So these 5 persons, they, we don't see them before. So this is the predict their income is below the 50K or above the 50K. So they are using the kind of like the probabilities. So I think for the either I think if above 0.5 if the output is above 0.5, they think is greater than 50K, their income. Otherwise, it's below 50K. Or the other one, I don't remember exactly, but here you can see that they do these predictions. And later on, you can go back to see, the person's information, try kind of like to make sense why it predictor is greater than 50K. Some of the features, the columns may be more important than the other features. So this one is actually running in your local machine. Or by the way, the local machine is not on your laptop. It's on this Google Cloud virtual machine instance. So from step 3, actually you're going to submit to the job to the cloud. Let the Google Cloud, the data center, to run the training jobs. So that's normally sometimes it's particularly if you have a large job to run, it needs to be distributed. So this one is better than running in your local machine. Sometimes for this Jupyter Notebook is main calculator for the experimentations. So you can try it out, seems like okay, and then do the real training jobs, submit to the Google Cloud. So here, I think someone asking how to before. So this is a place. I think this is the only place you need to do the typing or to replace. So after this step 18, it output your GCP project name. So this is when your project name. Just copy paste here. And here you just replace this one. So many of them here just keep running. It's going to have error, okay? Here, this the step 18, you output your project name. And in the step 19, you need to replace the name with your project name. Otherwise, later on, you have the errors on the bucket and everything. The rest of them, it's going to be just right. I don't think you need to make any changes to run this one. The steps is very similar to before, but this one just submit the job to the Google Cloud, let Google Cloud to training the jobs. So here we are done with some of steps. I think if you go back to these code lab instructions, they have some like checking your progress. I think we are done this part. We can just check, see it showing the green. And for this one, I'm not sure we're done yet. Okay, we are done this one too. Step 33.2. This one we haven't done yet. We haven't started yet, so it's probably not going to work. Let's keep going on this part. So this one going to submit the job to the Google Cloud and let Google Cloud to training your models for you instead of on your local Jupyter Notebook instance. So remember, whenever you submit to the Google Cloud, it's distributed async calls. So it will put in the queue. So the system will, it's not going to like on your local machine, it run it right away. It's going to take times. They have a scheduler to schedule. So you usually take like a few minutes to complete. So here you can just follow the steps here to to check the progress and wait until it complete. So this will probably take a few minutes here. Let me do a quick check to see everybody, where are they now? And just let us to know overall how, how their progress. Okay, that's good. Most of them on track. That's great. Really excited to see. A few running a little bit slow, but okay. And some falling behind, trying to catch up. Good. We have a few people get completely lost. So, okay, we can you contact us on the Slack? We'll see which part you got completely lost or got stuck. Great, most of them on track. That's awesome. So another way is to monitor the progress on your training job is go back to the Google Cloud platform. Again, you can go to these menus, scroll down to the artificial intelligence, very bottom of the whole menu, and go to the AI platform and click the jobs. You can see here, actually, I kind of like accidentally to submit it twice, but it's okay. I can just ignore the second one. This is the first one, it is still running. And if you want to see the logs, you can see what is the progress. Sometimes the log showing task complete, but it's still waiting for the whole job is completed. So once it's done, your job should be showing like a green button say, complete. Then you should be good. Awesome, congratulations, Abhijit. You all of the project complete, awesome. So you're done with the first code lab, right? Okay, great. Yeah. So you're done with the code lab. You can end the lab. Yeah, make sure you end the lab. And then you can continue the second one. Go back to the landing page. You should be able to see, in this quest we have a whole bunch of other labs. You can continue going, and also make sure check. You should be able to see you have the monthly subscriptions. for the next labs, for the all other labs, anything on the Qwik Lab website, you can use in your credit to run, or you can use in your monthly subscription. All of them are free. Okay, so here you can see my job, submit job, actually training is done. That's great. So let's keep going with my steps here. So now I going to deploy my models. So basically, again, remember the training job is create a model, and then you need to create deploy this model for the final steps to the deployment. Okay, I got some errors. I'm not sure what is going on here. That's interesting. Oh, oh my gosh. Yeah, you're right. I forgot this one. Thanks for reminder. Yeah, for the step 28, here you need to replace the job ID. Yeah, sometimes I just quickly click through. I didn't see this one. Yeah, in the step 28, you need to set your job ID here. Oh, I guess I run twice. This job ID showing the second time of that one. So I have to waiting for my second one. Okay, we do some live instructions here. See, this is a problem. I accidentally run twice. So sometimes the output showing the previous job ID and all the latest job ID. So I guess I can just go back here to copy paste. This is my first job ID. I submit it complete. See, the second job ID is still running. So it's not going to work. So here, let me, the output here is the second job ID. So it's got some errors. Still have some problem. Oh, the model already exists. Okay. Let's change it to another one. All right, I got it correct. So yeah, this one involves some of the little bit of debugging here. But the key idea is, job ID, make sure you use the correct one. Sometimes I accidentally run multiple times, it's got confused on the job ID. And since I run this one again, I use the same name, so it create some error. So, you go through the error messages and fix the model name, and that should be get it correctly. Okay, now I got submitted the deploying the models, and this one take several minutes to deploy. We're going to wait a little bit longer. So look at my time. I have 20 minutes. I think I should be able to manage to make it. Only like 2 steps. So this one take a few minutes. So I think I should be good on my time. Yes, for you, if you're done with your lab, once showing this 100/100 green button, you can just end the lab. So you are done with the first code lab. After that, you can go back to the quest and continue the other lab 2, lab 3, lab 4. And there are about 5 code labs. So for the whole quest, you enrolled. Yes, again, make sure it's showing 100% is done before you enter your lab. The lab, the model part is on the step 38. So on 39, if you get an error saying, this model name already exists, you just change a different one. For the other code labs, I mean, if you are interested into learning anything on the qwiklab.com, that website, you can just go to the search box to search, deep learning or MLOps or other one. You can just search it to find the lab you want to run. Your progress showing here, right here on the code lab. Here is showing your time. On the right side, they have a kind of like a progress 80/100. That's for me. I think I okay to check this one. I've done this one. So now it should be showing. Oh, it's still showing 80. This one, I think I created model. Okay, good. Okay, this one still in progress. But this is my kind of like last steps. I'm not sure what you mean by cannot access the page of the progress. This is your Qwiklab instructions. You should follow the steps on this page to working on your code lab. If you somehow like, you got lost, cannot find the link, go to the code lab instructions document in the Slack. We share that working document. Those who have the links, have the details, you should be able to follow those steps to continue. Okay, so seems like our model got deployed correctly. So here showing, I didn't get any 0 items. Interesting here. I didn't see my model got deployed. Oh, it does got deployed. Is it? Somehow the output is a little bit strange. Let me check my progress to see. Oh, it does deployed. I don't know why here it's showing list 0 items. Maybe somehow I which environment variables maybe did not set correctly. But here I got the model predictions returned. So yeah, so here for me, I'm done with the code lab. Again, just kind of like a recap. In this code lab, what we do is, we first to get the this code lab actually kind of like in general like a two part. The first part is to training job on your local machine, which is the Jupyter Notebook, this instance. Another one is submitted to the Google Cloud to do the more large scale trainings. So the first one is get your training data. So this data is stored in somewhere else. So see here, just download it to your instance, and then the coding up some of the code, and then to run it. Remember, when you get the code, get the data set in the real environment, you're probably going to spend a lot of time to prepare it, to clean it, to analyze it. That's a completely different set of tasks. Here, we already have a pretty good clean data set. So we still need to do a little bit of preparations, but not that much. You can look at the code. The code we in the Jupyter Notebook to see what kind of preparations we did. And then we training the jobs. So here's the training process. And then we get the model. Then the last one is we generate some of the new data, send it to this model for the predictions, and then we get some result. And then the second part is we run the job in the Google Cloud. So it's pretty much the same idea, same process. Just when you training the jobs, you submit a job to let Google Cloud do all the training jobs. This is particularly important. If your training job will take a long time, it's a very large data set. For our data set, it's very small, tiny. It's only for the examples, but for the real project, it's probably going to a very large data set. So you want to submit it to the Google Cloud to do the training. And again, after trainings, you get the model, you deploy the model, and then you send the prediction to the endpoint, which is this endpoint. You send your predictions, it will return the result. So that's overall, very basic, fundamental machine learning process. So here we check all our progress. You can see I got like 100/100, which means I'm done with this code lab. There's some of the questions. The model version is an instance of machine learning solution installed in the, I think it is correct. It's true. AI platform offers training jobs and batch prediction. I think this is also correct. True. So I'm done with this one. You can just end the lab, submit. So you are done with your the first lab. Congratulations everyone to make through this first code lab. Again, there are a lot of information, a lot of detailed steps, particularly in the code part. I recommend later on, later today or sometime next this week, go back to the code lab. You can run it again to go through those details into the code, those steps to kind of like more understand what it actually is doing. The Qwik Lab website kind of slow. I'm not sure why. Ending the lab seems like take me some time to end. No, that's fine. As you're done, you end your lab. It will, yeah, it is kind of like a annoying warning. Say, you will lost all of them. Don't worry about that. As long as you get 100, you end the lab. You get all of everything you need. Yeah, usually it's very fast. I mean, just end the lab. I'm not sure why today is so slow. Oh, come on. Awesome, congratulations, Paraga. Yeah, that's exactly expected. After you ending the lab, you should be able to see in your profiles, you should be able to see the monthly subscription, which means you have 1 month for free to run any of the labs for free. So it's not just the lab in this quest, all of the labs on the qwiklab.com. I mean, they have like thousands of labs. You can run them for free. Anything you interest, you can just play with that. If you cannot finish your lab, or your time is out, don't worry about it. You can run it again anytime. So I think even you are not done with your lab, even you are not completed your lab, you should be able to still get the monthly subscription. You can using your credit. I think you have 9 credits, and this one only using 1. You still have 8. Or if you somehow with your monthly subscription showing up, you can use it for free. You use that one too. So don't worry about it. If you cannot complete, you can get it. You can try it again later today, or sometimes this week. Oh my God, I a little bit worried about is this ending lab have some problems. And sadly, there's nothing I can do here. I really don't know why it's stuck here. I doubt it's anything related to the billing part. And when you start the lab, the billing part actually go to this username. Remember, that's so important. When you log on, when you open the Google Cloud, Google Console, you're using this account to log on to do all of them instead of using your own Google Cloud Console account or some other account. I'm going to wait a couple more minutes. If still stuck here, I will go back to check if it's showing we are done with the, it's recorded the progress or not. I think it should record it because it's showing the 100% done. This is just end the lab, so it should not impact the progress. But I don't know. It's maybe they have some bugs here. Is the kernel restarting? Oh, is that cause a problem? I don't know. Technically, actually, I don't need this anymore. And since it's already done and already done here, I don't know, is this related to that? The way you can see, you got extra, for extra 1 month. So that one, again, you can go to your profile. It will showing how many months you got. For the, if you're done with the code level 1, the first one, you should get 1 month. I guess, expired in your monthly subscription, going to end it in the November 4th sometime. If you finish all of the code lab in the quest, you should be able to see your monthly subscription expired in, I guess, in December. So that's the way how you see you get the subscription. Okay, you know what? I probably just go back to see if it's. Oh, actually, it's showing complete. So yeah, seems like somehow that and lab have some problems. So if you have a check mark here, green check mark, it means I'm done with the first one. Here, it's showing monthly subscription. So which means I have a 1 month subscription for free. So yeah, seems like this part working as expected. And you can check your settings to see, I think you can just click your profiles and you should be able to see, yeah, you have you have an advantage subscription expired on November 1st. So that's 1 month. So yeah, this part seems like working pretty good and don't have a problem. So remember for this quest, so today I think unfortunately we don't have much time to continue on the other code labs. So I want to kind of like wrap up on here. Again, for this quest, perform fundamental data machine learning AI task in Google Cloud, they totally have 7 or 8 code labs. Some of them is optional. I think they are like for this tool, you can just choose one of them, or you can do both. That's fine. And for you, just later today or this week, you can just go through one by one. And if you have questions stuck somewhere, ask in the Slack. We try to help you. And also on Thursday, we're going to have another session, exactly same sessions. That one is for the Asia Pacific regions, the attendees, feel free to join if you still want to join this live session. So yeah, so once you're done with all of these labs in this quest, I think you will get another extra month subscriptions. So the expiration your subscription going to extend it to December. Another thing that I think you can also important is after you're done with these all of the labs here, you will get a badge somewhere. I think it's that's probably, since I haven't done with that one yet, so it's probably not showing some the badges, but it will. I can send out the details on how to get the badge. Again, the requirement is you have to finish all of them in the. You have to finish all of them to they will have kind of like the a certificate, a badge, which you can put into your LinkedIn or you can add it to your other social media for, you know, kind of like it's a nice thing to show you complete all of this. Again, they have on this on the quiklab.com, they have many other like here, you know, they have a lot. Even beyond this, I think you go to the quiklabs.com. You can see a lot of labs with your monthly subscription. You can do them for free. So you can take advantage for that. Okay, so that's for today's quick lab. Let's just quickly to run through the lucky draw. And well, thanks a lot for everyone for, you know, stay with us, working very hard, and let's have some quickly have some fun part. Again, for the lucky draw, we're going to draw 5 Chromecast. You still have time to enter the lucky draw. I wait maybe 1 minute to make sure. So the way to enter the draw is tweet the hashtag Cloud Study Gym and tag the AI Camp AI, Google